Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm excited this morning for our Business Improvement District 101 discussion. And with that, I am going to pass the baton to our Vice Chair of the Young Professional Network Committee, Miss Jackie Damas. Jackie, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie Damas. Thank you for being here and welcome. Thank you for joining us and being willing to learn more about the City of Philadelphia's Business Improvement District bids. Though bids has been the greatest impact on commercial real estate, the community and pride from the neighborhood are often a selling point in residential transactions. Our first presenter is Philip Green with the City of Philadelphia's Commerce Department. He serves as the Senior Manager of Business Advocacy, Office of Policy and Strategic Initiatives. His team works to leverage economic research to drive policy and strategy, engage the business community and partners on pending legislation, facilitate improvements with the city's departments, enhance inclusive communications and marketing, and centralize internal evaluation, data analysis, reporting, and governance. He will be providing an overview of what exactly is a business improvement district and their impact on the city of Philadelphia. So, Philip, feel free to take it away.
Hi, okay, let me share my screen. Oh boy. Okay. Let's scroll up. All right, hello everyone. My name is Philip Green. As Jackie just said, I'm with the Philadelphia Department of Commerce. Before I get started, I really want to say some thank yous. Thank you to Katie Hanford and Lexi and Jackie and Capri for putting this together. Katie really made the link in this. Katie Hanford is the executive director of the East Passyunk Business Improvement District. And I put together this Business Improvement Districts 101 presentation a little while back for an internal presentation to some folks on City Council. And Katie thought that it would be a good idea if I present it here. And so I'm just happy for the opportunity, and I'm pleased that y'all have shown an interest in business improvement districts. The idea of this presentation is for everyone to get a good idea of what business improvement districts are, kind of from the high level, and then how to interact with them, and how to introduce business improvement districts and the concept of business improvement districts to your clients who can benefit from business improvement districts and who hopefully will be excited about them when you explain what a business improvement district is to them. So I'll get going. My name is Philip Green, Senior Manager of Business Advocacy at the Commerce Department. My email address, basically if you want to find anyone in the city of Philadelphia, type in their first name dot last name at phila.gov. That's how you can get pretty much everybody. I think the mayor, however, has like a code word. Hers is something different. It's like person 161 at phila.gov, but pretty much everybody else, first name dot last name. So during this presentation, I'm going to be going over the Commerce Department's commercial corridor strategy really fast and how business improvement districts fit in with that. I'm going to be going over the bid basics. What is a business improvement district? I'm going to introduce you to all of the city's 15 existing business improvement districts, the services commonly provided by bids, the bid can and can'ts, the legal underpinnings of bids, um, uh, a bit of information about bid fees and the pros and cons of business improvement districts, and then some tools and resources for realtors. So the Department of Commerce in the city of Philadelphia has a 4-point strategy for improving commercial corridors. The first is strategic investments in the physical environment. So this is storefront improvements. This is capital projects like, improving crosswalks, things like that. And then the second is strengthening organizations. So there are community development corporations that oftentimes work in commercial corridors, and there's also business improvement districts and other nonprofit organizations that engage in economic development work. And our goal is to strengthen those organizations so that they can serve the businesses on commercial corridors. The third prong is to grow neighborhood-based businesses through various assistance that we provide, and then delivering service excellence. So we have our mayor's business action team, which works directly with businesses to help them navigate various systems, things like that. So my work in assisting business improvement districts falls under the second prong, which is to strengthen organizations that serve commercial corridor businesses. So I'm going to explain what a business improvement district is from a very high level. And I made up this imaginary community called Bidtown, and it's my way of explaining things. So welcome to Bidtown. So business improvement district, this is how I define it. It's a defined geographic area where commercial property owners pay an annual fee toward an organization that provides enhanced services to the district. Okay, so it's a defined geographic area. And if we look at this map down here of a business district, that defined geographic area is outlined in red. All of the blue properties represent commercial properties that would pay into the bid, and the white properties are exempt properties that wouldn't pay into the bid. Okay, and we'll talk about more about exempt properties later. All of these blue properties pay an annual fee toward the Bidtown Business Improvement District. This is the organization that runs the bid. And that organization then provides services within the district boundaries. Okay. I like to use the example, though. I like to liken a business improvement district to a suburban style shopping mall. Why are suburban style shopping malls so nice? Their parking lots are well maintained. There's a uniform level of cleaning and branding across the entire property. There's holiday decorations, things like that. It's because malls are one property owner. And all the businesses in the mall, they're all tenants under the single property owner, and they all pay common area maintenance fees. It's kind of like an HOA fee in a residential subdivision, right? So each tenant is a renter and they pay these common area maintenance fees. And those maintenance fees goes to a management company, which manages the mall property. And they spend those common area maintenance fees towards things like janitorial services. Where's my mouse? Janitorial services, holiday decorations, operable bathrooms and escalators and common amenities like that in the common spaces. They also do signage and wayfinding and mall branding and marketing. And they'll also do things like furniture and plants and other amenities that guests of the mall enjoy, right? This creates a cohesive, branded space that people enjoy. A city street is different, mainly because every property is owned by a different property owner, right? This makes a uniform level of service and identity a little bit more difficult to achieve. And this is where bids come in. Bids are a way for property owners and businesses to come together and pay into an organization that then provides services and amenities to the business district. So, and I'll get into the kind of legal mechanisms of how that happens a bit later on. But in Bidtown, all of the properties pay annual bid fees to the Bidtown Business Improvement District, which is like a nonprofit organization. And then Bidtown administers those funds and spends them on services and amenities. So like planters with holiday decorations, right? Sidewalk cleaning services, pressure washing, graffiti removal, benches. Sometimes bids will do public trash receptacles that the bid is then responsible for emptying and maintaining. Sometimes bids will engage in like capital projects. And so they'll work with the city to install things like pedestrian lighting. Here's a big one, banners. A lot of times bids will install banners that brand the business district. They'll install holiday decorations on street poles. And then they'll also work to improve public plazas, like installing a fountain or a shading element or something like that, right? So that's kind of in general what a business improvement district is. So now let me introduce you to the city's 15 business improvement districts. We have Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, Roxborough, Manayunk, City Avenue, which is unique because it's actually the first bid in the United States. It's been around for about 30 years. It's the first bid ever to straddle two different municipalities. Half of it is in, the Philadelphia side is of City Ave is in Philadelphia, and then the other side is in Lower Merion Township. So that's something unique about that business improvement district. North Broad Renaissance, this is our newest business improvement district. It was authorized in 2024. Then we have the OG Business Improvement District, Center City District. This has been around since 1990, and they've really been the model and a national model at that. And then we have Mayfair Business Improvement District representing the Great Northeast. And we have Aramingo Shopping District. This one is unique. You'll notice that most of the business improvement districts in Philly tend to be more pedestrian-oriented commercial corridors. This one is a very like a big box commercial corridor and strip malls. And they provide sidewalk cleaning services and security. So, a lot of the big box developments will have their own security, but the business improvement district has their own security task force that's able to report on issues as, it'll be like a shoplifter is in the Lowe's, and then they'll track that shoplifter over to the Walmart across the street, and they'll notify the manager of the Walmart, right? So it's kind of like a security force that can monitor the entire business district, not just one big box development, right? Hopefully that made sense. And then we have Port Richmond Industrial Development Enterprise. This one's interesting because it's actually not a commercial district. It's an industrial area. Back in the 2000s, a bunch of property owners that were like industrial businesses, their area was really dirty and their employees felt unsafe. And so they came together and they used the mechanism of a business improvement district to pay into an organization. It's very small. Their budget is about $50,000 a year, but it pays for cleaning and a limited amount of, it used to do security services, less so now, but they used a business improvement district basically to clean up their industrial area. And it allows for greater retention of employees because the employees feel safe there. It's also goodwill among those industrial businesses to their neighbors because as residential development has crept into the area, people complain about cleanliness, and this is their way of kind of giving back to their new neighbors, right? Then we have the Fishtown Kensington area bid, Northern Liberties, Old City, South Street, and then Katie is representing East Passyunk Avenue bid on the call. So we have two what we call voluntary bids. Okay, these are not technically business improvement districts, but I wanted to bring them into the conversation because you might hear about them, and I didn't want to leave them out just because you might be confused. We have the University City District and the Sports Complex Special Services District. So these do not have an ordinance which allows them to collect mandatory fees from property owners within their boundaries. They are funded voluntarily by the anchor institutions in their areas. So for the University City District, Penn, the hospitals, Drexel, they all came together and decided that it would benefit the entire area and their institutions as a whole if they funded an organization called the University City District. It's a nonprofit organization, and that organization provides cleaning services, some workforce development, landscaping, and economic development within their larger area. None of those donors to the organization are legally encumbered to make those contributions. They make them voluntarily. So it functions a lot like a business improvement district, but technically it's not. Okay. Same thing with the sports complex district. The sports complex, as part of a community benefit agreement with the city, the sports complex, the sports arenas in the area fund sidewalk cleaning services for the surrounding area that is impacted oftentimes by traffic and litter from sports events. Okay. Let's talk about the common services provided by business improvement districts. First, we have sidewalk cleaning. If you don't have a clean district, you really can't do much else, right? Cleaning is number one, and every single business improvement district in Philadelphia provides some form of sidewalk cleaning service. The second is public safety. Here we have City Avenue's bike patrol officers. They patrol the area, they're eyes on the street, they're unarmed. They call police if they notice, an auto theft happening, but mostly they're just there as a presence, right? That discourages crime. Graffiti removal is a common service. Planters, landscaping, and greening, as seen here in Roxborough on Ridge Avenue. They have a really robust planter program there. Seasonal decorations, it might seem like wreaths grow naturally off of light poles around December, but in fact, they have to be installed by paid contractors. And who pays that bill? Oftentimes it's business improvement districts. This is one of the tall tale signs that you're in a business improvement district is if they have Christmas lights on trees and holiday lights up. Plazas and public spaces. This is a plaza that the Fishtown, Kensington area bid installed in partnership with a restaurant. Is this really big, weird, awkward intersection. And so they worked with the streets department to, commandeer part of that intersection to create this plaza and give space back to pedestrians. And then capital improvements. So this in Manayunk, they worked with the streets department as well as us at Commerce, and they received a bunch of state funding to install some traffic calming measures to make the area more pedestrian friendly. So they installed these crosswalks as well as signage and these like flashing beacons that sense when a car is approaching to get cars to slow down. Because, if people can't cross the street in your commercial corridor, it cuts them off from half the businesses. And so we want pedestrians to feel safe in business districts. Business improvement districts get this. And so this is one such way that they've used capital funds to improve their business district. And then the big one, events and marketing. Katie knows this very, very well. Flavors on the Ave, a bunch of other events that attract, that, make city living worth living and create a sense of community. And this is one of the big reasons why BIDS exists, is for events and marketing. Business assistance and attraction. This has to do with kind of the work that you do. Oftentimes BIDS will try to attract businesses that complement the business mix in their area, and work with landlords and brokers to attract the types of businesses that would improve the business mix in their area. And then district advocacy. Because BIDS have full-time paid staff, they're basically like the de facto business associations in their area. They're community organizers in many senses. And so they hear the needs from their businesses and they communicate those needs to me and other people at the city and advocate for policy changes that can improve the business climate in their areas. Let's talk about what BIDS can and can't do. I like this section because oftentimes when a district has a business improvement district, people think that the bid organization has like the powers of God to mold the business district. but it doesn't. It can do certain things, but it can't do a lot of things, okay? So let's get into it. What bids can do? They can provide general services and improvements. All the activities that I just described fall under that bucket. They can charge mandatory fees on the commercial properties within their district. And they can file liens for non-payment of those fees. I emphasize this because these two things are the primary difference between a bid and a community development corporation or any other nonprofit or civic association working in a neighborhood. Bids are legally authorized under a city ordinance to be able to charge mandatory fees on commercial properties within their district and file liens for non-payment. Otherwise, they function pretty much just like any other nonprofit and have the same powers as any other nonprofit. Let's talk about what bids can't do. They can't rezone properties. That falls under the purview of City Council and the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Bids can't rezone properties. Bids also don't enforce building codes or city regulations. Again, that's a city job. Now, the bid can advocate for enforcement. They can make 311 calls just like any other citizen can. They can call their elected officials and say, hey, there's a building facade that's about to fall into the sidewalk. We need to get L&I out there. So, paid staff of bids can advocate for these things, but it's not like bids can walk around with a notepad issuing citations. Bids can't change public infrastructure. They can't roll in, bulldozers and turn an intersection into a roundabout. If they want to see large-scale changes like that, they need to work with the city in order to make that happen. They can't change or enforce parking regulations. And very importantly, they can't mandate what specific businesses come and go from a property. This is unconstitutional, okay? So oftentimes we hear from residents or stakeholders in an area, why did a Wendy's go in there? Why didn't the bid make a Burger King go in there? I like their burgers better. It's because a property is zoned for fast food, and whatever fast food company wants to go in there can go in there. We can't be picking and choosing what businesses come and go. That's not up to the mayor. That's not up to city council, and it's certainly not up to bids. And then same thing, it's unconstitutional for a bid or anybody else to mandate who can or can't own a property, okay? So let's talk quick about the legal underpinnings of bids, and I'll try and breeze through this. So each business improvement district is authorized by a city ordinance. This ordinance provides bids the authority to assess fees and file liens, right? Kind of what I just covered in the last section. This is covered under each bid's ordinance. Each bid's ordinance includes their district boundaries and a map or a property list of all the properties within their district subject to bid fee. Their ordinance also includes a plan and a budget. So, by law, a business improvement district can't collect fees from East Passyunk and then use those fees to open up an orphanage in Northeast Philadelphia. The fees collected from a business improvement district need to be spent on services that directly benefit the business district, okay? And so each ordinance, it's kind of like, think of it as like the source code for a business improvement district, how it operates, right? It's kind of like the charter. So each ordinance for a bid includes a plan for how the bid will spend that money and a budget, which dictates how much they can collect in bid fees each year. Okay, so it's not like a bid can collect $100,000 one year and then decide to collect $1 million the next year and raise bid fees, right? It's a set amount each year. The ordinance also defines what properties are accessible and which ones are exempt. It also includes the bid fee formula. So that is very transparent so that people know how their fees are being calculated. The ordinance also stipulates how long the bid will be authorized for. Typically, bids are authorized for a 5 or a 10-year term. Okay. So it's not like a bid is established in a neighborhood and people are going to be paying fees until the end of eternity, right? Bids are only authorized to collect fees and file liens for a certain term of either 5 or 10 years. And after that 5 or 10 years, they need to go through a reauthorization process where they get a new ordinance passed through city council. Okay. During this reauthorization process, all property owners are notified. There's a public hearing and there's a 40-day objection period. During this objection period, if 1/3 or more of property owners within the bid's boundaries object to the bid's renewal, the bid will fail to renew. Okay. So here's some key takeaways. It's corny. Benjamin Franklin, key, get it. Bid fees and liens are legally obligated, so property owners got to pay. And this allows for, consistent funding. Bids are authorized for a finite term, and there is an objection period that can defeat a bid. So if a bid is established in a neighborhood and property owners are like, they promised the world to us. They said that they were going to clean 10 days a week and this place is still trash. They said they were going to throw all these amazing events. And so far, they haven't planned anything. We don't know where our money is going. At the end of that 5 or 10 year term, they can object to the bid's renewal and the bid will not renew. And then they won't have to pay those fees anymore. Okay. So it's kind of like a good mechanism to defeat a bid that's just not working. By and large, however, we see that bids very easily get reauthorized because businesses and property owners see the value in them. Let's talk about bid fees really fast. Bids typically bill commercial properties, duh, and they also typically bill residential rental properties. Okay. The notion behind this is that because rental properties are being run like as a for-profit enterprise, they're kind of quasi commercial. And so they're charged an assessment fee. And then bids must exempt tax exempt properties. So, nonprofit organizations, religious institutions that have tax exempt status, public schools, city-owned property, libraries, and whatnot. A bid isn't sending a bill in the mail to the public library, okay? And then typically bids exempt owner-occupied residential properties, all right? The only business improvement district in Philly that that bills residential properties, all residential properties, including owner-occupied, is Center City District, okay? And they bill residential properties at a lower rate. I think it's 50% of the rate as their commercial properties, but don't quote me on that. Okay. So that's the only bid that uniformly assesses fees on all residential properties. Okay. So by law, fees that bids charge on properties must be proportional to the benefit that they receive, right? Because bids provide sidewalk cleaning services, a huge property surrounded by a ton of sidewalks is going to receive more benefit from the bid and its cleaning services than a small property, right? So their fees need to be proportional to the amount of benefit received. And the fees are calculated according to a formula. Like I said earlier, fees are calculated according to a formula that's stipulated in the bids ordinance. So here's some examples. In Old City, this little doggy daycare, it's a small property and it pays, last year it was billed $486 for the year, okay? So small properties, we also see this on East Passyunk. Your small, row home sized commercial property, they're typically billed between $200 and $600 a year. So it's not that much money when you consider most bids provide daily sidewalk cleaning services, special events throughout the year, holiday decorations. They're more than getting their money's worth. For medium-sized property, uh, uh, a property can expect to pay somewhere between 600 and 3,000 a year. So this is the Ritz movie theater in like the Society Hill area, Old City area. And it was last billed $2,049 for the year. Okay. Now, for a large property like an office tower or a huge hotel, the Bourse building, something like that. This is the Wyndham Hotel that's on the edge of Independence Mall in Old City. And their assessment for the year was $46,000, right? This seems like an extraordinary amount of money. And it's a lot of money. I don't have that much money to pay for sidewalk cleaning services. But when you consider the value that this hotel gets out of the business improvement district, this hotel exists because of tourism in the area. And the nearby, cleanliness and, public spaces and holiday decorations and everything that the Old City District provides is a huge draw for the customers of this hotel. And so they're getting their money's worth as well. All right. But hopefully this gives you an idea when you have somebody that's interested in purchasing a property or renting a property in a business improvement district. This should give you an idea of how much they might pay towards the business improvement district. Okay. So let's go over the fast pros and cons, and I'm going to be wrapping this up shortly, of bids. Bids provide a cleaner, safer, and well-managed districts. They're better for business. We find that businesses like being in business improvement districts. They're attracted to areas that have organizations that manage the business district and advocate for their needs and link them with resources. It also amounts to a better quality of life for residents. And we see that bids increase property values. And they're a formalized way for property owners and businesses to come together. The cons, bid fees. Nobody wants to have to pay a fee for anything. It's in the name, all right? But that's life. I want my roads to be paved, so got to pay taxes. And then there's also the potential for increased rents, property prices, and of course, risk for gentrification. And that's the reality of things. So now here are some tools for realtors, right? So the first is openmaps.phila.gov, and I'm going to drop these in the chat once I'm done with this so that you all have the URLs. And how is my screen? Let me unshare. How do I know how to unshare really fast? Because I want to show you how to use this. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay. Whee! My email. That's not it. Okay. Here is openmaps.phila.gov, right? So we have a map of the city. What we're going to do is go over to the sidebar and click Business Improvement Districts. This will outline all of the city's business improvement districts, right? You can click on a business improvement district, for instance, Center City District, and it'll pull up this little information thing. It has the bid's website, their phone number, their bill number, and that refers to their ordinance number. The expiration date is when the bid's authorization is up for renewal. The date that this information was updated. And then ordination, this is a link to the Business Improvement District's ordinance. Okay, so this takes us to the city's legislative website. I have way too many windows going on. And what we can do is click the certified copy, and this is a copy of their ordinance. I'm actually already have one pulled up. This is for the Aramingo Shopping District, so pardon me, I'm going around a little bit, but this is the general outline of a business improvement district's ordinance. Lots of legalese, but it has the plan for the business district, how they plan to spend their money. It has a map of the business improvement district, and then it has a property list for all the accessible properties within their district. And then this is their budget for the period of their authorization. Okay. So that's how you can search and see if a property is within a business improvement district. And then if you really want to geek out about it, see their ordinance. The next tool that I'll show you, this is something that we just introduced, and it's not publicly linked to on any city website or anything. So I'll just provide you the unique URL. But this is a tool where you can put in a property's address and then it'll tell you whether or not it's in a business improvement district. So I am just going to make something up. 1900 North Broad Street. Enter. Okay, it looks like that property exists within the North Broad Business Improvement District. And it provides you the phone number for the bid, uh, uh, email for the whoever is managing the collections for that business improvement district. So this is good if you're curious if a property is within a bid. You can use this tool. And again, I'll drop the link to this in the in the uh, in the comments. And then your third resource is the bid staff. Call them. Now that you know where to find the phone numbers for the bids, if you have a property that maybe looking to buy in a business improvement district or sell from business improvement district, whatever, the bid staff is always there to explain things and answer any questions that you might have. So I put together here some what I thought could be some tips for selling agents and buying agents. I love adding visuals to my slides, and I gotta say, the real estate industry has some of the craziest, worst stock photos imaginable. And I was like, I gotta work those in here. People holding small houses and happy, shiny faces and very bright lit rooms. So I thought that I would take the chance to incorporate that into my slide presentation. But here's some tips. Identify if a property is within a business improvement district. And then using the maps that I just showed you, identify if the property is accessible. So if the bid assesses rental properties versus this type of blah, 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 blah. And then if it's accessible, provide provide the bid info on the listing, link to their website, describe the services and benefits offered by the bid, link to the bid's website, and consider providing bid fee information. So you can call up the bid and say, hey, what was the latest bid fee for dot, dot, dot address, right? So you could put on the listing in 2024, the bid fee was $400, right? That could be good information for a potential buyer to know so that they're not scared away by, oh, business improvement district. That means I'm going to be owing thousands of dollars, right? They might know like, oh, $400 and I get sidewalk cleaning, this, that, and the other. That's great, right? And then the same sort of tips apply for a buying agent. Identify if the property that a person is interested in buying is in a bid. Identify if it's accessible. If it's accessible, notify the prospective buyer of the bid, what services they could expect from the bid, and then connect that prospective buyer to the business improvement district, right? The worst case scenario oftentimes is that property is bought within a business improvement district, and then that new property owner gets a bill in the mail from the bid and they're like, what is this? This is a bill that I was not anticipating, and it starts everybody off on a bad foot. And that's it. I'm sorry that I ran over time. But yeah, I'm happy to take questions at this time. Katie, if you have anything to add, go for it. Otherwise,
Thank you, Philip. And we're actually going to have a Q&A after Katie and Capri present. So if anybody has questions or comments for Philip, if you can just hang tight a little while longer. So our next presenters are Katie Hanford and Capri Desiker. As Executive Director of East Passyunk Avenue Business Improvement District, Katie's focus is on supporting all businesses on the corridor through grants, programming, partnerships, and more. As a native of Westchester, PA, Katie studied anthropology and urban design and planning at the University of Washington and recently completed her master's in city planning at the University of Pennsylvania. In her free time, Katie loves exploring the city, grabbing food with friends, and seeing live music. Capri is a realtor, business owner, GPAR member, and the East Passyunk Board Secretary. She is also the brains behind this coffee talk, seeing a need for realtors to understand the role that bid plays in such a neighborhood-driven city. So, Katie and Capri, feel free to take it away now.
Thanks, Jackie. And thanks, Philip, for giving a great overview. Capri, I don't know if I don't have any slides. I
I
was
don't
kind
have
of
slides, but I have a bunch of points that a few points that I wanted to make.
Great, go for it.
So I think a lot of people might not have joined this call because they feel like, oh, well, I don't sell property. I'm not a commercial agent. But I feel like it goes so much more than that, so much deeper. One of the things that I experienced before I was really familiar with bids was I had a client, I didn't sell them the house, but they had bought the house and they lived there for a few years. When they bought something else outside of the city, they kept the property as a rental property. And then it was a rental property for about 6 years. When they went to sell, they found out that they owed a ton of money enough money that it was upsetting in bid dues. So why did this happen if it was a residential property that they bought and they didn't have to pay bid dues when they bought it? It's because as soon as it became a income producing property, it was then subject to bid dues. So as a residential real estate agent, I wish that I had thought about it, when I was representing them as sellers. So it's always good to know where the lines lie. So representing buyers who might be buying in that area, even if they're owner occupant, and also when you're representing a new seller, what can you do to protect your sellers so when you do your estimated closing costs, you know how much they will actually own. I learned about bid dues from my title company. The title companies essentially, when they pull title, if somebody owes back bid dues, if the bid company, if the bid did it correctly, there will be a lien against the property, or at least the title company will know about what is due. But you don't want that like a couple of weeks or a week before closing. You don't want that to be when your client finds out that they owe money or that they're part of a bid, because then they can't back out of the deal. So it's really important, even as a residential agent, to know how bids work, what their benefit is. So I think all of you who are on this call will be that much smarter and that much better to service your clients. I do want to point out a couple of things that were said, but I think are super important. There is the public safety aspect is huge. The East Passyunk, we have, light string lights. Katie just added, through tons of effort, just added more string lights for public safety. We have Officer Kelly and his partner. They, 5 days out of the week, and sometimes six, we have him patrolling the streets. So we actually have we have police officers either on bike or in their car or on foot, patrolling. So that makes the employees and shop owners feel good about their area. The storefront improvement. So people who wouldn't normally be able to afford updating their store, or maybe a small business owner that wouldn't be able to normally get into business corridor, there's so many resources that you can get to help fund or where to look to get funding for things like the storefront improvement, which also, even as a store renter, you can apply for storefront improvement, which then the owners will benefit from. Finally, I don't know if all bids have this, but I think I know a handful of us do, is that we have an associate program. So it's also good to know which bids have an associate program. So for a smaller amount of money, if you are within a certain catchment around your district, as a business owner, you don't have to be, but you can also be part of receive some of the benefits of a bid. So if you have a client who can't afford to be on a commercial corridor but can be close to one, then you can help them identify commercial buildings or commercial rental storefronts that can help them benefit from bid stuff. So again, it's not necessarily, you don't have to be some big time commercial agent to know what's important to your community. The last thing I want to say is that if you're a business owner occupant, you still are subject to the taxes. But if you're an owner occupant living, then you're not. So we have at least one business on the avenue where the building owners occupy the commercial and they occupy the residential above. So they don't pay bid dues on where they occupy residential, but they pay bid dues on their business on the first floor. So I think those are all the main points that I wanted to say. Katie, am I missing anything good?
No, I don't think so. I think you hit everything pretty well. I think again, just driving home the fact that bids exist, it's good to know about them. I think as Capri said, it'll help you inform your clients, help them avoid any surprise bills down the road. Philly is a really fun place to do business or do this kind of work in because most other cities, the city will send the bid assessments out on your behalf as a part of real estate bills from the city. That is not the case in Philadelphia. We have to chase people down for their assessments. So that's sort of one of the reasons why we wanted to chat with you all and just kind of like make that process a little bit smoother for everybody. I think something else to consider that Philip kind of mentioned, but although many bids do things kind of similarly, we each have our own unique ordinances. So again, I think it's really critical to use that tool that Commerce created online. When you do have a property that you're selling that does fall within a bid, just reach out to them. They can give you a lowdown of sort of what the standards are for their business improvement district. If anything varies, like I believe this sort of split option between owner occupancy and commercial occupancy is something that we just instituted in our last ordinance. So before that, if you had any commercial in your building, you'd be charged for the whole building. So it's just like very specific things sometimes that you wouldn't know unless you reach out. But I would say that we're all pretty accessible. We try to keep our information updated as best we can. So please do reach out to us. We're open doors and we're here to help. And again, bids were created to improve properties and property values. So it's a win-win for everybody involved.
I think the only last thing I would love to drive home is that as a real estate agent, you can get involved in the bids. My office happens to be part of the commercial corridor, so I can be on the board because I am a business owner. There are opportunities to be on the board for community members, I believe, and we're always looking for volunteers and sponsors. The sponsorships can be so small and can get your foot in the door of a bid, get to know people, get to know your community in which you live or work or both, and we don't get paid as much as people might think that as a board member you do. You do not get paid, unfortunately, but it still is very rewarding work. And don't feel like because there's one real estate agent already on the board or it's a big time player in the bid. Me and Michael Giangiordano, we play very nicely together. He's our treasurer and I'm the secretary, and we do wonderful together. So please, not just one real estate agent per bit.
Yeah, we're grateful for our realtors on the board. You guys help us a lot with getting to the bottom of what's going on. And I guess the last point I'll make is kind of back to what Capri originally said about if you're, primarily residential serving, still important to know about bids because they tend to have pretty big cachet with the community, especially if they're events focused. I've just find that on East Passyunk, we have a really great relationship with our civics, with our neighbors. Like, they really look forward to our events and sort of know who we are because of that. So getting involved with a bid is a really, really great way to reach the broader neighborhood in general, and support a local nonprofit doing really incredible community work, and just get your foot in the door in that way.
I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both. We're going to open up the floor to any questions. So if anybody has questions, comments, concerns for either Philip, Katie, or Capri, if you could just maybe take yourself off of mute and ask away, that would be great. And if not, we'll wrap up and get out of here.
I guess I'll just say I'm happy to deliver this presentation. If you have connections with any business associations, part of my job is to solicit the creation of new business improvement districts in areas that don't have them. So if you work with commercial property owners or even residents who are busybodies in their neighborhood and are interested to learn about bids and how to make one in their area, please connect me with them. Yeah, just wanted to say that.
Great, thank you. Well, I don't think we have any questions, so we can wrap up and let you all get back to your days. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Lexi, YPN, and all of our speakers for taking the time to be here and give such great presentations to all of us. And be sure to visit gpar.org and follow us on social media for future events and updates, and if you need anything. So thank you everybody very much for being here.
Thanks for having us, guys. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.